And I want to kick things off by introducing you to the team at OPPD. We've got Melissa Sperry, Laura Strode, Dave Talon, and myself. Of course, most of the times you're going to be working with Dave, Melissa, or Laura. That helps you maybe get a name and a face with who you're working with. And the team's here and they are waving at you. So if you were here like the guys that are, they would be sitting right back here in the room. Next thing I'm going to do is just go over a brief overview of the training. We're going to do a safety briefing, which is part of the OPPD culture, to always kick meetings off with a safety briefing. We're going to talk about the new system. It's called Vision DSM. So if you hear me saying the new system or Vision DSM, it's both the same thing, but when you're working within the system, it looks like an OPPD system. So I just bring that up in case I say Vision DSM, you'll know what I'm speaking about. We'll also talk about how to claim your TradeAlly account. We'll go through how to complete an application in the system, go through the TradeAlly dashboard, then we're going to take a break. After that, we're going to talk about program processes and reminders, and we'll talk a little bit more about TradeAlly information and finish things up with a question and answer. Now we're going to talk about Vision DSM, which is the new rebate tracking system. So we kicked Vision DSM off. We converted it, the full conversion took place around May of this year. And it's kind of a timing thing because, as you all may recall, in April of this year, we had already dispersed all of the rebates that were available. So even though we've seen it for a while at OPPD, we're just rolling it out to you as Trade Allies, and are excited to start using it after the first of the year. So first of all, how many of you have claimed your TradeAlly account? And I'm looking at a small group here in the room. Has anyone done that? Okay. You tried not successfully. Okay, well, we want to work through that. So in the books that you have as a handout, and for those of you joining remotely, you have a copy of the manual that was emailed to you. It's going to tell you step by step how to claim your TradeAlly account. And if we send any information to you about how to claim your TradeAlly account prior to training, it's because you were the key person or the key contact person set up in the OPPD system for your company. And so if you didn't receive an email talking about that, don't worry about it. It just means you're not the person listed on our website as the main contact. So if you are the main contact, we have already set you up. You just need to go out there and claim your account. If you are not the main contact within our system, you will want to let us know that you would like to be able to log into an account and have an account, and we will set you up, and then you can set your password. Okay? So step by step on how to claim your TradeAlly account. You're going to go into this screen, and I'm trying to find my mouse here. You seeing it up there? You're going to click at the bottom of the screen here where it says Claim My Account. You're going to want to enter your first name, your last name, your email address, re-enter your email address, enter a password, re-enter a password, and hit submit. When you hit submit, you're going to want to go and see if everything has been logged in correctly. So you'll enter your email address, you're going to enter your password, log into your account, and this screen will appear if you've been established in our system. If you have not been established in our system, this screen is going to appear. So if you get this screen and are the main contact at your company, go over here and select Contact Us and send us an email saying that you're having difficulty or asking if you are set up. Again, if you don't know who from your company would be established, go to oppd.com, look up your company's name, and that is who is presently established in the system. If you want to be added, let us know and we will add you. After you get your TradeAlly account set up, if you want to update or change the information, again, you'd go back here and use the Contact Us form to contact us and let us know the changes that needed to be made. You can have multiple users from one company. So in the past, we typically, again, had one contact person for your company. Now, it's really up to you what you would like to do. You can have one contact person, or you can have everyone within your company have their own account. So let's say I'm going to pick on Voss Lighting. They were here the other day, and I used them as an example. There were 3 people from Voss Lighting, and so you, in the past, would have TradeAlly account. Your main contact would be one person from Voss Lighting. That doesn't change, but in the past, those other people didn't have their own dashboards or access to information. They weren't emailed information and such. So if you want your own account, you would set it up and be housed under the umbrella of your company. So does that make sense to everyone? There's some pros and cons to it. If you have one overall company TradeAlly account, then you've got all the emails and all the correspondence going to one email account or one TradeAlly. If you have multiple, then you each would have your own dashboard to access information. You could each track your own applications. But if someone, changed positions within the organization, changed organizations and so on, you would need their password and able to get in and look at what they were doing in regard to rebates. So we really leave that up to you, whether you want to have one account or an umbrella account with multiple users beneath it. Now I'm going to talk about how to fill out an application. So if you've filled out applications in the past or been to TradeAlly training before, you'll know that the type of information that we ask for. The information that we ask for really hasn't changed at all. It's just the format that you enter it in, and we do ask for a little bit of additional information. So when you first go in and click to say that you want to complete an application, this is the screen that's going to come up for the prescriptive rebates. The prescriptive rebates being lighting, HVAC, and ARC. And so it asks, there's a bulleted number of items there. You need your TradeAlly log information, you need the premise where the project is taking place, and this is really important, it's as shown on the OPPD billing statement. You'll need the AHRI certificate if it's applicable due to the type of HVAC project that would be taking place. You're going to need cut sheets for LED and for custom lighting showing Energy Star, DLC, or LDL certification. You need the name and address of the entity receiving the rebate check, a complete list of the equipment to be installed, and the W-9 for the entity receiving the check. So again, this might be the only time you review that information, but it's just a reminder there before you begin the application that that's what you're going to need to successfully complete it. So then you're going to click on Begin Application, and since you've already established your account, you'd be a returning user. You're going to enter your email address and password and click on Account Login. Then the very next screen that comes up is going to say Business Prescriptive Rebates, and it's got these 2 boxes. The one, if I can get the mouse to work here, it says your street address as shown on the OPPD bill, and then the actual street address. So, for example, down here you'll see a copy of an OPPD bill. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 street name. You'd enter the 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then you'd enter street name there to continue. If you put anything but numbers in this box, it's not going to work. If you try to really type out a street name, it's also probably not going to work unless it completely matches what is on your OPPD bill. A lot of times people have a different address than what's on their OPPD bill by just like a certain margin. For example, if someone says the word south in their address, in the OPPD system it's going to probably be an S. So if you type in the word south it's not going to find that address in our system. If you type in an S, it will find it. So it's really important to get the OPPD bill so that you have the right address, and it can look up the right place to associate the project. Just give me one moment here. All right, so I'm back online here. So after you enter the street address, you're going to get a choice here that says the following records have been located based on this, the address that you provided. So here, this is the address you want. You're going to click on the green button here. If you click over here, it's not going to take you there. You have to click on the green circle. The next screen that will come up will say, do you really want to start this project or enter this rebate? And you're going to want to select yes. Then it will take you to a screen and it asks you for a project name. Now, every single project is asked to have a name. It doesn't even have to be a different name than the one on the account, but we put this in here to help you differentiate in case you've got multiple projects going on with the same customer, or maybe different rebates for different floors in big office buildings or something like that. So you get to select a project name for each rebate that you're submitting. You can also sort by the project name, which I will show you a little bit later as well. After you enter the project name, you're going to want to continue. Now, this next slide, it's one screen in the system, but it's in 3 different slides. But this is all the customer information that you've always gotten in the past as part of the rebate process. So first of all, you're going to, when you select this address from the previous screen, the company name, the address, the city, the state, the zip, the phone number are all going to autofill. So if that is the premise where the project is taking place, you don't have to change anything, but you do need to add the first name of the contact for the customer and the last name of the customer contact. The other things that you need to address here are the phone number. For example, maybe the phone number of your contact is not the same as the phone number on the OPPD account. So you want to make sure that you update that phone number if needed. That's the phone number we'll call if there's project questions. Most of the time, if it's the company phone number, they're going to be able to find that contact person. But again, you want to check that number for its accuracy. The email address, this is the email that all the customer correspondence is going to go to. So you want to complete that with that information. If you look here, you will see, you can save this contact for later use in your contact list. If you want to save this, you just click yes and it will automatically go to your contact list. I'll show you your contact list later. This is really up to you whether you want to utilize it or not. If you do a lot of projects with this customer, you might want to save that contact information for future reference. And just to kind of point you around up here on top, this is where you would find any stored customer contact information. That it would be in a pull down menu right there. Now the other button right here says clear contact. That one, when I was first working on the system, I kept hitting that button like I was submitting something, and it was really frustrating because then you have to re-enter all that information. So don't hit that button unless you really want to clear the contact information, and it's not a submit button. The next section is going to be the payee information. Again, it says first and last name and company name. Now, this is who the check is going to go to, and this is a caveat that I hope you pay special attention to. This will autofill with the street address right here in this box. If there is an in care of or an attention person, you need to take the street address and move it to the box below, and then in that address line put attention to, care of to. So for example, 123 Fake Street was moved down a line, and then in care of John Smith was added on the address line. You've got the city, the state, and the zip code. Then another thing that has been added back for those of you trade allies that have been around for a while, when we initially started the program, we asked for a W-9 every time an application was completed. Then a few years ago, it was determined that we didn't need that information. And this year, it was determined that in 2019 we do. So again, you need to get a W-9 for whoever is receiving the check. And the most recent W-9s came out in October of 2018, and so we're looking for a 2018 version. The W-9 is going to have the tax ID number, so you're going to want to enter the tax ID number there. You're going to see there's a red asterisk there, so that means if you don't fill something in there, you're not going to be able to enter the information on the page. It's important to enter that information there. Again, you can save this payee information, or you can clear the contact information, or you can proceed further down the page. Now at the bottom of the page, it's going to ask for the trade ally information. It says select a contractor from the pick list, and then you would click on this button here, and it's going to take you to this search down here. So once you get to the search, most of you, I'm assuming, will want to search by your company name. They are alphabetized, so you can go through alphabetically and find your company, or you can enter your company's name right here. You can enter your company's address. City and state probably isn't going to be a great way to find your company, but probably company name's the best. Select the search button over here, and your company's name should appear. Then it's going to say the first name of the contact for your company. In this example, it's Lori. But for example, if you had, and this is A1 used for testing Lori. Let's say A1 used for testing had another employee named Sally. It would say A1 used for testing Lori, A1 used for testing Sally. If I'm Sally, I'm going to select Sally. If I'm Lori, I'm going to select Lori. Does that make sense? Okay. Then once you find the right trade ally, you're going to click on the green button next to the correct name, and it will autofill that box for the current trade ally. Now you've got a choice. Do you want to continue with the application? Do you want to save and complete later, or do you want to go back to the previous screen? You can do this pretty much on every single screen. We're going to hit continue. When you continue, the next screen that it will open up is one where it asks if the property is occupied by the owner or tenant. You'd select one of those. It asks for the year of the W-9. In this case, we're going to put 2018. It's going to ask for the project type, and this is a pull-down menu. It's going to say lighting, HVAC, or ARC. So you want to select which kind of rebate that is. Building type, it's another pull-down menu. There's really general building types. If you don't see one that fits, there's an other key. I know some of the building types are any office establishment, any retail establishment. I think there's fast food restaurants, so there's a little bit of choice there in regard to the building type. And then we want to know the project cost without the rebate. So what's the total project cost with no rebate added? If you're only selling equipment as a trade ally, that's okay, but it's better to have the equipment and labor cost in there, because as many of you know, we do limit our rebates to 50% of the equipment cost. So let's say that you go in there and you say the total project cost is $10,000, and then later you enter information which would allow for a $7,000 rebate. It's going to kick the rebate down to $5,000 automatically, or 50% of the number that you entered here. And it's not a huge deal, but it might be a little bit frustrating and hard to understand when you're going, hey, I know the rebate should be more than this. Well, the reason that's happening is because the total project cost wasn't double what the rebate amount's going to be. Now, up until this point, whether you're doing lighting, HVAC, or ARC, all of the application process is the same. So we're going to make the assumption that we're doing some lighting. So we're going to go through lighting because that's the most heavy hit program. We'll go through the others too, but use this as our initial example. So You selected lighting. The next screen that comes up after you hit enter is lighting terms and conditions. You can click on that link and it will take you to the terms and conditions, which have not changed since last year. We're going to ask you to check a box that says you understand that outdoor lighting are not eligible for prescriptive rebates and that you agree to the terms and conditions. After you click continue there, this next screen will appear. There's a lot going on here, but all you really are concerned about is clicking the green plus sign because you want to now add equipment to your project. So since you selected lighting already, it's going to give you lighting as a choice. You'll select lighting. After that selection, you're going to get another screen up and it's going to say general lighting. You click on that screen and it's going to give you 6 different choices: custom lighting other, LED exit sign, LED lamp, LED light strip, LED retrofit kit, or new LED fixture. Okay? In the past, we'd always kind of ask for what are you installing, and then, or what's presently there, and then what are you installing. This year, it's what are you installing, and then after you tell us what you're installing, we're going to say, okay, well, what was there? So in this example, we clicked on new LED fixture. The next screen will come up and it will say quantity. Here 15 has been entered. Then it'll say existing fixture. That's a pull down menu. 4-foot 1 lamp T8 has been selected, and then it's going to say the kWh rate. Now the kWh rate is going to autofill. You don't have to do anything with that. If you choose to change it, you can. That's mostly there to help figure simple paybacks and give an idea of the financial impact of doing the retrofit or lighting upgrade. So hit submit and you're going to go back to that equipment entry screen. It's going to show that you entered new LED fixture and you entered 15 of them. Now right here there's a plus sign and an X sign. At this point you can hit the X sign and make that go away completely, or you can hit the plus sign and adjust the number of fixtures. Okay, you can do this clear up until you submit the application. At the very end, the final step is to submit the application. Once you submit the application, you can't change anything. If you want things changed, you've got to send us messages and we've got to communicate back and forth. But until that point, you can. So just divert for a moment to mention that, but also to let you know the flexibility of the system. So we've entered one line item here. Now, just for an example, we're going to say that we're going to click a second line. I took out the one step where you would select custom lighting. And when you select custom lighting, it's going to ask for more information than if you would have selected LED lamp, LED fixture, etc. So for custom lighting, it's going to say what is the new quantity number. It's going to say what's the new fixture type, and the new fixture type is going to be, LED or other, and there's a couple other selections there in the pull down menu. The existing fixture is going to be what is the existing fixture type. It's going to be fluorescent, CFL, HID, something along those lines. And then the kWh rate autofills, of course. We need to know the existing number of fixtures, the existing system watts per fixture, and the new system watts per fixture. So a lot more information for the custom lighting section, but again, it's pretty much what you've been used to in the past. You'd select the submit button again, and if there was no other equipment to add, back on, this page, we want to do the continue button. And if we do the continue button, after all this equipment is listed, you're going to go to required supporting documentation. And here you're going to see upload LED cut sheets. And you want to hit the plus sign there. It's going to say we're going to browse to find your cut sheets. You're going to select the browse file, and you'd go out. I'm assuming most of you have uploaded documents on the internet or uploaded documents. So you'd go out, you'd find the file that you wanted to upload, select it, then select Upload File. I don't know why this mouse, there it goes. Then you want to upload the file. After you upload a file, it turns green. So then it would be green. You go back and upload the W-9, go out and browse for it, upload it, and you'll see that both these documents have been uploaded. You want to hit the Continue button. And then you're going to see a screen that talks about the potential payment. So here, new LED fixture, there's the rebate amount. If you had additional line items, they would all show here in the rebate amount. Lighting project information without rebates, lighting project information with rebates, and other lighting project information. This is all a screen that's for your viewing pleasure, or for you to be able to talk to your customers about how much their total rebate's going to be, what their simple payback is, etc. So after you review this information, you're going to want to hit the Continue button, or of course you could save and complete later. Here's an example. Here might be where you've entered all this and you tell the customer, okay, well, your total rebate's going to be, $9,700.12. And the customer goes, well, I'm not sure I want to move forward with it or not. You're going to want to save and complete later, because that way, when they tell you they want to move forward, you don't have to go back and enter all this information, but you're also not reserving funding in case they don't move forward. And then if they decide to move forward, all you have to do is go back out into your dashboard and complete the application for them to be in the queue for pre-approval. So let's say that the customer is committed to this. You're going to hit the Continue button. It's going to say Final Step. Do you really want to do this? And this is where, when you hit Complete Application, you are not going to be able to change anything. So you can still save and complete later, go back, or complete. Hopefully, if you've made it this far, you're ready to hit Complete. Now, that is really the first step in the final section on how to upload a lighting rebate application. I've also included the pull-down menus for lighting. And so you'll be able to see this when you actually go in and enter an application. So the LED lamp, these are going to coincide with the list that you're provided as part of training, and they have not really changed since last year. So if your configuration is not shown in the pull-down list, then you would put it in the custom section, just like we've done in the past. All right, so you've uploaded your application. Now you sit back, and the next thing that's going to happen in this scenario or in the new system is that OPPD will be alerted that you entered an application. We will go out and look it over for the pre-approval process. So after you've done that, you're either going to get a pre-approval or you're going to get a denial, and the denial will have a reason for the denial, which you can correct, and then it would automatically go back into the queue for pre-approval. If it's pre-approved, the next thing that's going to happen is it will go into a status, and you will see that you will have a current task, which is to upload the invoice. And you're going to see that on your dashboard. But that's the way of knowing that it's in your court. So the current task, and I believe it's listed, awaiting invoice. So you need to upload the invoice. You're going to upload the invoice by clicking in that box. You got the disk there to click on. When the project's done, you would click on that, go out, browse, find the invoice, and upload the invoice. Then automatically, it's going to go into a status where it goes to OPPD for final approval. The HVAC terms and conditions are different than the lighting terms and conditions, so after you've entered all that initial information about the project and customer and proceeded forward, you're going to go to the HVAC terms and conditions page automatically. Once you agree to that, it's going to do the equipment entry. You're going to want to again click on the green plus sign. Then heating and cooling is going to come up as an option. After you select heating and cooling, you're going to get 4 options that appear: air-cooled, water-cooled, air-source heat pump, or water-source heat pump. You'll need to select one of those categories, and then within those categories, there are other line items. So in this example, we've selected chiller. So when you click on chiller, this additional information is going to come up. And most of this information is going to be the same for each HVAC type or piece of equipment. So we need to know the KW per ton, the manufacturer, the model number, the quantity, and the number of tons. Okay? And then you'd hit the submit button. If there were additional pieces of equipment, you'd push the plus button, and again, go through the same process that you just did to select the equipment that's being installed. You've got the pencil here and the delete, just like we went over with lighting. After you get everything listed, you're going to want to hit the continue button. The continue button will take you to the screen where it says upload W-9 and upload AHRI certificate. If you're working on a project and that type of equipment does not have an AHRI certificate, you're going to need to upload documentation that talks about the tonnage of the chiller. And Dave, is there an official name for that? Is it a spec sheet perhaps?
Yeah.
Chiller spec sheet.
Chiller spec sheet, yeah, would be it.
Okay, so if there's no AHRI certificate, that's okay. Just change the wording in your mind to have it say spec sheet. After those are uploaded, we've got the browse screen going on here. After those are uploaded, you're going to be able to hit the continue button, and you're going to see the rebate amount, talks a little bit about the project information. Again, states the rebate. You'd select continue, and then if you're ready to move forward, you're going to complete the application. Okay? After that, it goes just back to what we discussed with lighting, where the next step on your end would either be to answer the questions that would be submitted back for the reason it was denied, or it would be to upload the invoice because the project was pre-approved, and the next thing to do would be to finish the project and upload the invoice. For the ARC rebate, and same process, agree to the terms and conditions, add new equipment, advanced rooftop unit controller, then you'd go to a screen and select ARC. This would be a Bestech Digi RTU, which is the technology that's included in the program. You'd add the green plus sign. It's going to ask you the quantity. It's a pull-down menu showing the tonnage of the existing RTU, and then you're going to want to hit the submit button. And then if you needed to add additional equipment, you go back and hit the plus sign. If this is all the equipment, you go on and continue. This is a little bit easier because the only document to upload is the W-9, so you'd browse, you'd upload the W-9. Again, it's going to give you the payback information, the total rebate amount, and so on. And last but not least, it's going to ask you to complete the application. Okay, I went through that pretty quickly. So, now we're going to talk quickly about custom rebates. Now, trying to not be confusing, there is a custom section to our lighting rebates, but that is strictly lighting that is not already identified in those pull-down menus. And so, or lighting that's identified in any of the selections. It's not lighting controls. When we talk about custom and we tie it back to lighting, this would be if you would want to go for a lighting controls rebate. And you can't get a prescriptive rebate such as the lighting. This was what we had installed, this is what we're installing, and it's a straightforward rebate. You can't get one of those and a custom rebate for controls unless we can really differentiate the impact difference between the two. So if you're installing controls, you're either probably going to want to go all the way with a custom application and include the controls with the lighting upgrade, or just get the lighting upgrade, or work with us so that we're on the same page that they can somehow be separated to the extent where we're not double counting results. Custom rebates, other custom rebates would be compressed air systems, control systems, whole building approaches. all sorts of things can fit under a custom rebate. If you are working on a project and you don't know if it would qualify as a custom rebate or not, give us a call, reach out to us, and let's talk about the possibilities there. You need a lot more information for a custom rebate because these need to be measured and verified. So there's 2 stages to a custom rebate. You can get a rebate for an energy study and then the rebate for the actual project. The energy study is limited at 50% of the cost of the energy study. And we'll go over this again in a moment as well. But the actual project, there is no limit to the rebate except that it cannot exceed 50% of the total project cost. So if you're filling out a custom rebate, you're going to need additional information. So when you click on the link to say that you want to fill out a custom rebate, it's going to take you to this page. You're going to need your TradeAlly login information. You're going to need the premise where the project is taking place, a copy of the energy study invoice, customer's commitment to move forward, the name and address that is going to receive the check, and the W-9 for whomever is receiving the check. Then, before you begin the project rebate process, this is after you complete the project, you're going to need a case study or an energy savings report, the project invoice, the customer's satisfaction with occupant comfort if your project, had anything to do with occupant comfort. But it's basically your customer's satisfaction of the project, customers' receipt of documentation, and training of customers' facility staff. So this just kind of prompts you as to what you're going to need to successfully complete the application. Again, today might be the first time and last time you read it because you might be familiar enough that you're just going to click on into the application. If you're already on your dashboard, you won't see this screen appear, but if you aren't in your dashboard, it's going to ask you to enter your email address and password. Again, the difference here, the top of the screen says business custom rebates. The other one said business prescriptive rebates. You still need a copy of the OPPD bill where you're going to enter the street address and the street name. You'd hit the continue button. You would choose the location. You'd say you want to start an application and you'd assign a project name. Again, just like we went over with the prescriptive applications, very same customer information here. Again, the one that I really call attention to is adding the first and last name of the customer contact, adding their personal phone number or the best phone number to reach them at, adding their email address. Going down the page, we've got the payee information. Remember, this is where you enter the tax ID information. And the next screen to come up is the TradeAlly information. You'll want to go in just like you did before and enter the company's name and hit the search button. Then select the company by clicking on the green plus sign. Takes you to the next screen. We've got the custom terms and conditions that you would agree to. We'll take you to the next screen, which would be the project information. Here, this isn't a pull-down menu, but it's basically the same selections for the other rebates. We want to know, again, is the property owned or is this a tenant? We need to know the year of the W-9 and the tax ID number. Now, we're entering the tax ID number twice in the custom section. I apologize for that. It's the way the system was built. It's going to be the same number. There's just the fact that you need to enter it twice. The year constructed, we want to know the year the building was constructed. We want to know the building square footage. And then these next two lines will really depend on the project. We need to know the professional engineer, their first and last name, and the lighting certified professional first and last name, if they are required as part of the project. So a lot of these projects are going to require a professional engineer. If it's a lighting project, it's most likely only going to need the qualifications of a lighting certified professional, but not a professional engineer. You might even have a project where you're doing compressed air and we don't need either. So it's really contingent on the scope of the project. That's also why those aren't required fields to be completed. And so for those of you who are doing lighting controls and such, you do have to have a lighting certified professional sign off on them. Additional information that they're asking for is, we want to know the estimated annual savings in dollars. We want to know the energy study cost. I'm going to go back to this one, the project cost without the rebates. And again, 50% of the total project cost is the most a rebate can be. This is important because this is the estimated savings report submittal date. So when we see this, this is when you are telling us the project is going to be completed and we are going to measure and verify the savings, put that in a report format and give it to OPPD. That's the date we want, the date that you are giving that information to OPPD. And it's important because the scope of these projects sometimes spans much longer than, for instance, the lighting example. And so you might do a project in 2019, but you're not going to have the savings report done until mid-2020. We need to know that when we're pre-approving to make our budgets balance. And so that's an important date. And it's also the work back date, because if you tell us you're going to get us the energy savings report by June 1st, June 2nd, the money's gone. So you will get an email telling you that, but the money will be turned back into the budget and your application will go into denied status. So please work very hard to get that number or that date accurate or as accurate as possible. Equipment entry. When you hit continue, it is automatically going to come up with an energy study. And so most of these projects do take an energy study. So that is going to be selected. You will want to add your project. And so you click the green button. And it's going to say, do you want to do custom or other? And you are going to select custom. When you select custom, it's going to take you to the next screen. You're going to select the green circle. Now there's quite a bit more information that's asked for on these custom projects, but they should all be part of your energy study or part of the information that you've already provided the customer. Quantity 1 and sub number 1, those you aren't going to probably adjust because it's saying you're doing one project, and this is this is one section of a 2-part project. For example, maybe you're doing HVAC and lighting controls, and you're measuring them differently. This is where you would say 1 lighting controls and 1 HVAC project. Type of custom project is a pull-down menu. There's a number of selections there. There is an other that you can select. We do ask, and this has to be filled out, is an additional description. So type of custom project, if you do lighting controls, then you still have to do a small description of what that entails. The life of measure, that means how long is this project going to be reducing peak demand based on your professional approach to the project. As a qualifier for the program, it needs to be sustainable for at least 5 years. If you fill in anything less than 5 years there, you're going to have it be denied. If it's really sustainable for 10 or 15 years, we want to know that too. So we need to know that. Projected total annual energy savings and percent is how much energy is the project going to save overall percentage-wise. Projected peak demand reduction, this is the KW demand reduction. This is what we pay on. So what's your peak demand reduction going to be? What's the electricity saved in kWh per year? Now these next ones are not mandatory because some buildings are all electric and wouldn't have this information. Some don't have district chilled water or steam. So those you would just fill out accordingly based on the building and the systems that you were touching. The M&V method, there's going to be 3 selections, 1, 2, and 3. 1 is your OPPD bill. 2 is a sub-meter of the system that's being affected. Lighting, for example, you'd put a sub-meter on the lighting circuits if you were doing something and wanted to get a baseline pre and post. And then there's an extrapolation method where you would measure and verify savings on a piece of equipment and extrapolate that across like pieces of equipment. So you're going to want to select your saving or your M&V method. This is also something, if you have any question, you want to work out with the OPPD in advance, because if you select an M&V method and we don't think because of the scope of the project that that's the best M&V method, we will reach out to you and discuss other M&V methods before we will pre-approve it. But those are the three that are possible to be approved. The baseline period start date, we have a baseline that we measure against to show the energy savings. We want to know, when did the baseline period start, when did the baseline period end, and what was the peak KW during the baseline period. This is also what you're going to use as your benchmark when you're showing how much demand was reduced. We're going to go back to that baseline that you provided right here. Again, it should be part of your energy study. It's just easier for us to document it right here and take it, track it that way. The baseline period start date and end date are also very important, because if you're working on HVAC, for example, we need those baselines to be during the summer. If you're working on lighting and it's constant year round, you know, you can do the baseline at different parts or different times of the year. So now we added a line item and we've got an energy study. Now, if there's any other things that you're going to do with the custom project, you'd go back and hit the green arrow again. Most of the times you would not, you'd continue. You need to upload the energy savings report or the energy study report, the commitment to move forward, the invoice, and the W-9. Once they're all uploaded, they'll turn green. We're going to give you some feedback about the demand reduction and the cost before the rebate, project cost with rebates, and how much you're going to get for the energy study. Again, this is all information page. You don't enter anything here. So after that, the continue button, we've got a grand total, the energy study payment, the project payment. If that all looks good, you are going to hit continue, and then you would go with complete the application. Now, after that is pre-approved, your customer or whomever was identified is going to get a check for the energy study. And the next thing that you're going to do is upload the invoice, just like the other projects. But the caveat here is that after you upload the invoice and that task has been completed, another document upload is going to appear, and it's going to ask you to upload the energy savings report and so on. So there's multiple documents that you have to upload when you upload the invoice as different actions. I just point that out so that you don't upload the invoice and think you're done because that one invoice screen was taken care of. But it will guide you through it and keep asking you for documents. So the documents that you're going to need are the case study with results, the case study with measured and verified results, all the project invoices, the customer satisfaction documentation, and the training documentation. So those will all be asked for. I'm going to go through the dashboard pretty quick. Now, this is one of the things I think is really neat about the new program. In the past, you kind of have had to keep track of the status of your rebates on your own, or email OPPD or call OPPD. You don't have to do that anymore. You can self-manage all of your applications very easily in this system. Or I think it's easy. Hopefully you will too. So you would go into Trade Ally Central, select log on to my account, and enter your email address, enter your password. You'll see here that when you log in, you'll be able to see this dashboard. Apply now is going to take you to apply for a business rebate. Manage applications is going to take you back to your dashboard. And contact us is going to give you the ability to contact us and send us an email message or send us a message. So we go back to manage applications. You've got quick actions, analytics, applications by status, tasks, and then farther down here you don't have any notes. But if you did have notes that you hadn't read that Dave or someone from OPPD had left you, they would be there. If you had applications that you had saved but hadn't submitted, you would see them up here. So it's a good look at everything that you've done. You can't really break anything in here, so after you enter a few applications and after you get established, I would suggest that you peruse around, because you can find the information in multiple different ways and access it a lot of different ways, just whatever is most comfortable for you. So the number of applications here, there's 8 applications, total rebates paid. Had we paid any rebates from this application, it would show you the total amount, like, you know, we've paid $300,000 in rebates, or you have as a trade ally have been able to secure that many rebates. I'll just click on this so you show it here. Currently you have no paid rebates in our system. It will tell you that if there's no paid rebates in the system. My applications, it said we had 8 applications. If you scroll down here, you'll see that there are 5 to a page. There's 1 of 5 records, and there's 8 total. So this shows each of your applications. My contacts, if you stored any contacts, you have no contacts in our system, but you can add new contacts here if you want to. I'm assuming, I don't know how often you will use this, but you can. And then if you do a project with them, you can just click on their name and have things autofill when you're filling out the application. My account, here is where it talks about your account, and this is where you would change your password. Of course, you can log out. Now, messages and tasks, you have 1 new task, so this will keep you honest. This is going to tell you everything that you need to do. So in this example, there is an application where everything has been taken care of except an invoice needs submitted. And it has told you that. I want to take a look at this one too. Here's messages. I'm going to start at the top, actually. So it said you had 1 new task, and since it said I had a new task, it took me directly to the task. But if I want to look over the whole application, or if I would have clicked on view my application, you would see here you have 1 outstanding task to complete. Click here, it's going to take me down there. You have new messages. You'd click here to view my new messages. And the project status is awaiting invoice. Laura Strode is the customer contact. The payee information is OPPD Facilities Management. The Trade Ally information is not listed. That's our fake one for training. So you get to see all this information so you can remember who's getting paid and who the contact person is, etc. If you want to send us a message, you're going to send us a message, and the message, like here, will just say, Mondays are fun. Okay, so we're going to do that. And it's Tuesday, so Tuesdays hopefully are fun too, but you know. But here it says December 11th at 3:09 p.m. Unfortunately, this is on Eastern Standard Time, but it does time and date stamp it. Mondays are fun, and it says that the customer entered that information, customer in this case being the Trade Ally. This also sends an email to us at OPPD. It sends one directly to Dave, so he knows that somebody posted something on the account. So for example, let's say that you accidentally uploaded the wrong invoice. You can shoot an email there that says, hey, I've uploaded the wrong invoice. Can you upload the correct one? And then you would email us the invoice. You can you know, send us any sort of message you want to there. It's nice because you've got that whole paper trail or whole message trail that you can access and see at any time, and we can access and see at any time. So again, we need to upload the invoice. I'm going to take you down to documents and files. So documents are a copy of all the emails that the system has proactively sent out. So when you get a pre-approval, it says project pre-approval notification lighting. So you will have actually received this in your email box, but then there's documentation of it here attached to the project. So it says here, there's the address, there's the rebate that's been set aside, and there's the date you have to get us the invoice. If you don't adhere to that date, the money does get turned back into the budget. Based on the pre-approved application, here's who's getting the rebate check, and so on. So you can always check back here and see what the pre-approved amount has been. It's an easy way to find it. And you can always know where the check is going to be sent by looking at that. So those were the documents, the emails and such. The files, this would be, these are just dummy files that I've uploaded, but this would be, for example, you'd probably have this labeled the W-9, and this would be cut sheets. You go further down here and you'll see what you entered. Now here, you can see it still has a pencil, but you really can't correct it. You can just look at it to see what was entered. So on this one, I am going to try to click. So if you click on the pencil though, it will show you the quantity was 300, which you could already see on the front page, but the existing fixture was a 150 watt to 250 watt HID, and the tracking number is 709. If you have long invoices and multiple items on your invoices, you'll want to make sure that you include the tracking number. I'm sure that everyone's probably doing that right now. So this is where you find the tracking number. You also find the tracking number on the lists that have been provided to you. Those lists are also out on the internet, so you can access them whenever you need to. But if you're looking for a tracking number, that is where you would find it. Okay? So these are all things that you're going to see for every single application. You can see the equipment, get the tracking number, you can see all the files that you've uploaded, you can see all of the emails that went out, any tasks that you need to be doing. You've got all the back and forth conversations that have taken place. You got the pay information again, the trade ally information, and the project contact information, all at your fingertips for every single project. The different statuses that you're going to see over here, so application denied. You will have received an email that it was denied, and you will also go in here and be able to review it and reach out to us with any corrections that need made. Awaiting invoice, that's this one right here. Now, when we built the system, we used CIS final approval. We really should have put OPPD final approval. CIS is the department that Dave works in, and so it would probably make more sense to you all if it said OPPD, so apologize for that, but that's one of the statuses that is beyond your control. But if it's in CIS final approval, you know that it's getting approved for payment. CIS pre-approval means you submitted it and it hasn't been pre-approved yet. Payment processing means the invoice was uploaded and the payment is being processed. Post-site visit, post-completion site visit, that means it was selected for a post-site visit completion. So you can look in here and really see exactly where all of your applications are at. Okay, I talk about duplicate because we're going to see that again in a moment. If you have multiple applications for the same physical address or the same OPPD account number, it's going to come up duplicate, and that's more for OPPD's benefit than yours. In case, it's really for in case you accidentally enter an application twice, it's going to come up duplicate, and you might want to check it if you ever see duplicate. When we get one, we check and we make sure that they have different project names, and as long as they have different project names, we assume that they're not duplicates and continue to put them through the process. Does anybody have any other questions on what they can see on the dashboard? Do you have any questions on maybe looking at an application and what you can see?
Can you see what's left for OPPD rebates for the year?
Not on this screen, okay. But on Trade Ally Central, we're going to be updating that on a regular basis. Okay. But yeah, it's not on this screen, but it will be out there a lot easier to access. Now I'm going to take a quick minute and actually enter an application. For a business prescriptive rebates, if you haven't already logged into your account, that's kind of the status that we're at right now. We're pretending that we're out on Trade Ally Central, or we'd saved the link and we said, hey, we want to submit a rebate application. So we're going to begin applications. I'm already signed in. If you hadn't signed in, it asks you to log into your account. So now it says, what is the street address as shown on your OPPD bill? I am going to use, I'm going to mix it up a little bit and see if this will work. All right, so we're going to do a lighting project here. So we've got 1404 Edgewater Circle. We're going to hit the plus button. Oh, wait, I pushed the wrong button. Yes, I want to do an application here. This project name is for training number 9. I'm going to continue. Now, this is where the project information comes up. Oh, we've got the first and last name. There is no company name here, so that would be the contact person. We're going to call this company, we're just going to change it to OPPD. All that information is pre-filled. The phone number, we're going to change, though, to 402-636-3526, and the email address is, use my email address in there. We don't want to clear the contact. We want to know who the payee is. And here, go back. The company name, OPPD. I apologize. I was trying to change things up and not enter the same address, and it's not working out so well. So maybe we'll do a second application. So here, this is where we want to do an in care of. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this address and we're going to copy it and we'll paste it down here. Then we're going to come over here and we're going to do attention, Judy Sunday. Okay. Now we're going to enter the tax ID from the W-9. We'll go down here. Of course, we could save this contact if we wanted to, but don't click that or you're going to clear all that information, have to start over. Here we're going to look for a contractor. Here we're going to do AES. Search, oh, AES Verl. So this will go on his account. So we're going to put a plus sign there and it fills in. We'll go to continue. Since this is lighting, we're asking, is the property owned? They are not a tenant. The W-9 is 2018. We're doing a lighting project. The building type is, we're going to call this any office establishment, and the project cost without rebates is $50,000. Now, a lot of people might want to do $50,000. Okay, if you do that, it's not going to take it. It's very picky that it must be numeric, and so it won't go if there's a comma, and it won't go if there's a dollar sign. It will go if there is a period and cents, but make sure that you don't put in a dollar sign or a comma or it's going to reject it, and you're going to, it's not a big deal, but it's just kind of a pain to have to go back and correct that. Now it takes us to the terms and conditions. If you click here, the terms and conditions would come up. Again, I hope all of you will take time to review the terms and conditions. You have to agree that you understand it's not for outdoor lighting and that you agree to the terms and conditions. You're going to continue. Now we need to add some equipment. So we're going to add lighting equipment, and we're going to add a new LED fixture. We're going to add 200 of those, and they are replacing a 4'3" lamp T8. We'll submit that. We're going to add lighting equipment. Oh, they're going to do some exit signs. I still have some old exit signs. We've got 20 of those. It's a non-LED exit sign. We're going to submit that one. We're gonna add this, we got lighting, we got general lighting. We're gonna do another LED fixture, not another one. There's 40 of those, and those are replacing less than 150 watt HIDs. We'll submit that. So we're building our list here. Let's do one more. We're gonna do lighting equipment. We'll come down here and we'll do an LED lamp. There's going to be 100 of these, and they are replacing let's do a 25 watt incandescent. And we're going to submit that. Okay, so now we've got all our project information entered. Oh, but you know what? This was 50. So I'm going to go in here and make that 40, 50, and submit that. And you know what? I was wrong. Those are not, they were already LED exit signs. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm going to delete that. So I'll delete that one. Okay. Now this is right. So I'm going to continue. So now I need to upload LED cut sheets. And there's a file there to upload. We'll open that. Upload that file. Turned green. We did it right. We need to go out and find our W9. We'll select that file, open it, and upload the file. And that's been completed. We'll continue on. And here we'll see the total incentive is $4,800. $50,000 project cost. The simple payback without the rebates, 14 years, is down to 12 years. This was not a real lucrative rebate, but you know, it'll work for an example. We're going to hit the continue button. Now, final step, do you want to save and complete later? Do you want to complete the application or go back? I want to complete the application. And so it just submitted. Ooh, look, now it says I have 9 applications. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to have some, have it show up in CIS pre-approval instead of duplicate. So that's why I messed around with the address at the beginning. This has not been pre-approved yet. That's why it is not asking for an invoice. Does that make sense? These that are awaiting invoice, if I click on this one, it's going to come up with training number 2 because that's the task associated with it, awaiting invoice for training number 2. So that's a quick view on the dashboard after uploading an application. So now we're on to process and program reminders. I do want to remind people, if you have never been to training before, this is your first time, read all the terms and conditions that are in your books. With lighting especially, there's some caveats and this and that you really need to be familiar with when you're filling out an application so that you meet your customers' expectations and that your applications aren't denied. It's always a good refresher. They're not too long to just take a look at those and make sure that you remember everything that's part of the terms and conditions. Process and reminders, these are things that we go over every year. Nothing has really changed, but to get a rebate, you must be a business customer with accounts in good standing. One of the other statuses that you will see, application in hold mode means that something has happened and OPPD has to take a closer look at the application. A lot of times that's going to mean that the customer's account is not in good standing because the system auto checks that. And I'm not going to say that's the reason it goes into that status, but if you call and ask us about a status and we won't tell you much about it, that could be the issue, but we will reach out to the customer. I will say that in the 9 years that I've been involved with the program, we've only had a couple that were denied because of their account not being in good standing. So not a big deal. I think it was corrected both times and we were able to give them rebates, but it has happened. And you do have to have your account in good standing to get a rebate. Project pre-approved to ensure funding. We reset every calendar year. Our customers must work through an OPPD Trade Ally in order to get a rebate. And then the rebate maximums are per building, not per customer. allow 45 days for the rebate check to arrive, which again is pretty standard from years past. Lighting, ARC, and custom rebates are for existing buildings only. An itemized invoice with equipment counts matching those on the application needs to be submitted. Automated emails, again, are going to come out to you and the customer. You're going to get a pre-approval email. You're going to get, I think it's 90 days in, you're going to get an email that says, hey, we need an invoice in 60 days. 30 days in, you're going to get an email that says, hey, we need an invoice. And when the invoice goes away, we're going to say, hey, or when the money goes away, you're going to get an email that says, hey, the money went away. And let's say you did get the invoice in time, you're going to get an email that says your rebate check is on the way. W-9 again for the payee. This just a repeat of things that we've already touched upon. The lighting rebate is a minimum of $100 as well as HVAC and ARC. The maximum lighting per building, not per customer, is $40,000, $100,000 for the other two. You can have multiple projects at the same building or the same address in the same calendar year. That's why we have you put special names on them so that we can differentiate and you can differentiate. 3 months is basic.
Separate meters or separate buildings?
$40,000 per building. If you've got 2 meters on one building, there's not very many instances where that happens, but we can kind of talk about it if there's, there's some weird setups every once in a while that we come across.
Okay.
3 months for the project completion, 30 days for the invoice. We don't babysit it that close, but we do give you that 120 day window to get things done. 50% of the material cost is the limitation. See, the paperwork that we need are the AHRA certificates and cut sheets. For custom, again, and this is all on the terms and conditions and application or project, or I'm sorry, program requirements. It's got all the paperwork that you need. There is no minimum maximum for custom. Multiple items are allowed, but not multiple projects. We've got to be able to measure and verify that we're not double counting savings with the custom program. And 50% of the total cost, not the equipment cost, because a lot of custom program items might be really labor intensive. Lighting specific, I'm not going to read that to you, except use the prescriptive option if it's available. Don't put it in the custom section. And we do, and this is true with all projects, every single rebate over $5,000, we are going to go out on a pre or post site visit, and it doesn't matter what kind, if it's a custom rebate, a lighting rebate, an HVAC rebate. If it's over $5,000, we're doing either a pre and post inspection, or we're doing both or one or the other. And we will call the phone number on the application to set the site visit. So that's why it's good to have that contact person's phone number accurate.
5,000 on the rebate or 5,000 on the total project?
5,000 on the rebate.
I might have missed that, okay.
Yep. Anything under 5,000, we go out and do site inspections as required. We do about 20 to 30% of those.
Right. They come up randomly, or we can pick those.
Yeah, the system will either, just like I said, the system will assign them, or we'll go out if there's been a lot of questions, or if the customer wants us to, or you want us to, however that works. HVAC specific, it needs to be above 2015 code minimum EER. I point this out because it is in one of the program requirements. Conversion and new construction heat pumps of any efficiency receive a rebate of $50 per ton. So even if you are putting in code level minimum, it's not above the 2015 code, but it's new construction or conversion heat pumps, let us know. If it's new construction, we also allow more than 120 days, because there's no way anybody's going to build a building in 120 days. And so we do allow for that, and we document that through the notes process on the application. Again, that's for new construction HVAC rebates. ARC specific, you must have a 3-year service agreement in place, and it's for RTUs 1 through 20 tons only. Custom rebates are $500 per kW of peak demand reduction. Not all projects require an energy study. If you question whether you need an energy study, let us know. Some energy studies are 3 pages long, some energy studies are 300 pages long. It really depends on the scope of the project. Most custom projects do have an energy study of some sort because maybe the term is used loosely, but we need to have a baseline to measure against, and we need to show that baseline has been documented. You need to commit and retrain each year. You need to provide no cost, no obligation proposals to OPPD customers, and of course exceptions are made for custom projects. And if you've got like a really big lighting project and you need to do an energy study or charge for a proposal, as long as the customer is okay with that, we are probably going to be okay with that. But we do want our customers to have some confidence that if they go out to the list on the website, that you'll come out and at least shoot them a bid at no obligation or at no cost. Trade Ally reminders. So just give us an email for everybody that you want included on emails that would come from OPPD regarding Trade Ally information. Now, we aren't going to email you very often. We've kicked around what the best way is to keep our Trade Allies informed. We're probably going to use Trade Ally Central more than we have in the past, but if you do want people included on emails, write their email addresses on the Trade Ally application and we will add those names. And also, I'll mention this, when you're filling out your Trade Ally application, we are talking about putting together a Trade Ally focus group to help us with planning for 2020. And if you're interested in being asked about the Trade Ally focus group or would be willing to participate, please write on the top of your Trade Ally application, interested in focus group or something like that. Typically these focus groups are a couple hours, but it helps us have a third party interview you and get some insights on what you'd like to see different. And so we really are, talking about what we can do to better the Trade Ally experience. I'll kind of go off on my tangent here too, because we really feel like this is a partnership between OPPD and our Trade Allies. We've look at our marketing budget. We virtually do not hardly market our programs. We market it on our website, and a lot of it's word of mouth, but it's you going out and telling our customers about the programs. So we appreciate everything that you do, and just want to continue that relationship and want to find out ways that we can help you in promoting our programs. We've got some marketing information available. You can also use the OPPD logo to market as long as you run it by us first. So if you want to put the OPPD logo on your website, if you want to link to our website, if you want to put I'm an OPPD Trade Ally on your business cards, you can do all those things, but just send them to us first so that we can run them by and keep our brand consistent.
What do you have to send it in? You have to send the exact thing that you're planning on using.
Now have 250 more feet per reel.
Send what you're planning on using. And I'm going to be off the wall, but we don't want the OPPD logo out there in hot pink camouflage. We want it to be orange, And so we want you to say, hey, this is what we want to do with it. And we'll go, hey, you change the font a little bit, or here's the official logo in case you didn't have the official logo. So it's that kind of thing.
Last year too, or is this new?
No, we've always had it available for Trade Allies. Yeah.
With you in mind, Eaton's plug-on neutral load
and was there another question?
To save you time and labor. Contractor feedback inspired a load of new improvements. Plug on inboard neutral.
Okay, we did have a question about Trade Ally Central not working. It is not working yet because we're not turning it on until January 1st. So we're going to look at it in a test environment in just a moment, though. So we had the link out there, and I apologize for that it's not active yet. I do have in orange the addition to the agreement, because our Trade Ally agreement really hasn't changed over the years, except we did add something in 2019. And I'm going to look for an agreement really here and read it to you verbatim. It's number 7, I believe. It says 7, applicant agrees to confidentially hold and prevent release of any customer personally identifiable information, PII, that is obtained as part of the application process. Trade Ally will be responsible for any costs or damages incurred by OPPD as a result of failing to meet this requirement. And
shop.loveelectric.com.
oh, hello, and I'm sorry, I got a message that we need somebody to mute their phones. I'm not hearing anything on this end, but I guess there's a little bit of feedback. So if you've got another conversation going on, please mute your phone to help others be able to listen. Thank you. But going back to number 7, the Trade Ally will be responsible for any costs and damages incurred by OPPD as a result of failing to meet this particular requirement. This is something that we added because when you enter the information, you may or may not have seen it when I was showing you the dashboard, but you will see the customer's OPPD account number. Now, they have already given you their account number in most situations. When you ask for a copy of their OPPD bill, it's plastered right on there. So it's not a real high-risk situation or anything like that, but from a liability standpoint, OPPD does not proactively share customer information. Part of our partnership with you is that the fact that you get to see their account information, you're not going to go out there and do anything that is harmful to the customer because you can see that information. I'm not 100% sure what you would do with an OPPD account number, but it is something that we want to make sure we're protecting everyone from. So I wouldn't worry about it, but I do want to be transparent and point it out to you. Also, you're going to see that number and, like I said, probably wonder what it even stands for.
There's no extra work or expense. Talk to your sales
Trade Ally Central. Now, we just had that question, and I am going to see if this opens in the test environment, and I don't think it will. There it did. It did work. Great. So you can't see this because, again, this is still in the test environment at OPPD, but this is a draft. It's not the final version. The final version will be out after the first of the year. But you'll see here available rebates, 250,000. It'll say the date it was updated, or that's just a bogus number that we put out there right now. My portal login. This is where you'd click there, and then you would enter your name and email address to get into your dashboard. As an example, we have training dates and locations. We're probably going to move that down to news because we want the more important information at the top, and when training is over, we'll probably relocate that. We'll put some news up there. Rebate amounts. This is going to show you the rebate amounts and link to the information that you've got on the sheets in front of you. How to fill out an application. This is going to be a link to the manual that you've got. How to update your Trade Ally profile, and then you can apply for prescriptive rebates or custom rebates right from this page. Just different things here to keep you up to date. But this is where you check for the available rebates and then any updated news there. If it's something that's really a huge update, we're going to send an email to everybody on the email list, and we probably will post it out here as well.
Build a complete panel board in 6 easy steps. Our app matches only the components that will work together and tracks your progress.
Hang on just a second here.
And if
trying
you're
to
ready
work through
fly,
a little
you
bit of
can
a
pick up your new panel at our main
technical
location the very same day.
difficulty.
Try it out today, but remember
We're just
that
about
it's
done.
only available at shop.globalelectric.com.
So we'll go here and
If
there's
you're
just a
seeing
big
high bills
full
from
screenshot of the testing page. So the next steps here are to complete your Trade Ally application, to claim your account, or to submit your RFI for custom program if you have not already done so.
But with a longer life.
And last but not least, we've got the contact information
So there's no
for
extra
the
work or
team.
expense. Talk to your sales professional or
And then
visit
I will open it up for any
globalelectric.com more
questions that people have. And please chime in with any questions that you may have. Do we have any questions here in the room?
I got an off-the-wall question.
Local Electric will be closed for the Christmas and
You
New
got
Year
your
holidays,
HVAC or
so
our
our
program, lighting
associates can
program.
enjoy time with their
A lot of
families
these
and
electric
friends.
cars are getting popular.
Hunter will be
We're
closed
adding
Saturday,
40
December
amp outlets. I know you
22nd,
guys
and all
supply
branches will
chargers.
be
Sometimes
closed Monday,
there's a
December
program. What's
24th,
the
and
future with
Tuesday,
that?
December 25th,
Any
for
rebate,
Christmas
anything
Eve
like that
and
to
Christmas
customers or
Day.
stuff
All
like that?
branches will also be closed
For
Electric vehicles, electric chargers.
We wish
oh,
everyone
we do have chargers right now.
happy
Right,
holidays.
that's what I just said. So the way that works, I think that rebate, there is a rebate for that goes directly to the customer, correct?
Right, after they purchase a charge, it's for residential customers only. It's not for commercial customers. So it's residential customers only. And after they purchase an EV charger and install it and get it active in the cloud and allow us to access their data and slice and dice their data, they get a $500 rebate.
So as far as a contractor, we don't really have anything to
We wouldn't have anything to do with that, no.
install an outlet for them. As far as OPPD, we wouldn't have any. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And there's different things that we're looking at with electric vehicles, and so I appreciate you bringing that up. So the pilot that we're doing right now has been really successful, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know how many people have seen electric vehicles in the last 6 months, but I've probably just been more aware of them, but there is actually a lot more market penetration even in the last 6 months in Omaha. So,
My friend works at Tenasca, so they're all in the He just bought a Tesla.
okay.
So I got involved and I'd already put the outlet. He said I could do it for free for the experience. That way I can tell people how to experience it. I think he was right. Anyway, we just put one in for him. That's why I was kind of wondering, because he said that he bought the charger.
From OPPD, or not from OPPD, but got the rebate from
Right,
OPPD.
I wasn't sure exactly how that worked, but okay, yeah.
Oh. I got another question evidently that came in here. Can we submit a rebate for a compressed air study prior to completing any of the projects and filing for the incentive payment? Can we submit a rebate for a compressed air system prior to completing any of the projects and I am not sure I'm completely, if you are working on a compressed air project, you're gonna wanna get a pre-approval for us, and we will set aside funds for you so that after the project is completed, you can come back and prove your savings that we pre-approved and pick up the money. So, just so that we get the process straight, is we don't need to know about a compressed air project until you've had the customer commit to move forward. So what we pay for is we pay for 50% of the energy study with a not to exceed amount of $10,000. Then we agree as part of we're not going to pay the energy study incentive unless we agree on the M&V method and so on. And then after the project is done, we will release funds for the actual production of the project. And I hope that answers your question. So you shouldn't start, if you're expecting to get a rebate from OPPD, you don't start anything until we give you a pre-approval, because if you don't have a pre-approval, we can't guarantee we're going to pay you or your customer. So if you want to start work before getting a pre-approval, you're risking not having any rebate.
I have another question.
And then we have another question that came in. Do you anticipate 6-week approval turnaround on applications? The pre-approval should always take less than 2 weeks. And so if you submit an application, it is going to go into CIS pre-approval status. It should be there 2 weeks or less. Post, and that would be for the prescriptive lighting, the HVAC and ARC. And we're really working toward that for the custom projects as well. But it kind of depends on the complexity of the project and whether we have any questions for you after reviewing the information that you've submitted. As far as rebates, we like to turn them around faster than 45 days, AKA 6 weeks. But that is pretty typical in the industry to have rebates take up to 45 days. So we'd like to get them done faster than that. I hope that answers your question. Are there any other questions? I think we got another one in here. If we do a study for 10K, can we submit the study for 50% rebate and then file for the individual projects identified in the study for the project incentives? Yeah, I think we probably need to have a conversation offline because I'm not sure we're totally connecting, because that's exactly the way it works. Is you would identify project, you do an energy study, identify projects, send that information to OPPD and ask for your energy study rebate and a pre-approval to move forward. But we just aren't going to pay an energy study rebate until a customer commits to a project. So you can't get an energy study rebate unless the customer actually does the project. If I have a lighting project that goes over the 90 days, what's the new process for extensions? So we're really having to assess that. We've been very lenient with extensions, and in 2019, we really need you to get the projects done within the 90-day time frame. If there is some extenuating circumstance, you're going to want to submit the application, wait for the pre-approval, and then once pre-approved, send us a message explaining why you would need an extension, and then we will take it from there. But as far as extensions being granted in just about every circumstance, we're really kind of ratcheting that down, and it does have to do with the budget constraints and being fair to everyone. Are there any other questions? Well, again, I appreciate everything you do to support OPPD's business rebate programs. I appreciate you taking time this afternoon. We started a little bit late, but I think we're going to get out a few minutes early. Please fill out your Trade Ally agreements. Email your completed Trade Ally agreements into businessrebates@oppd.com so that we'll get you ready to go. Thanks so much.